Welcome to Kind Park Stories, where every tale takes you on a journey through mystery, suspense, and the unexpected twists that keep you guessing. Get comfortable as we dive into another unforgettable story.
The Secret Letters, uncovering the 1968 scandal that shook an entire town. In 1968, the small, close-knit town of White Falls, Virginia, was a picture of peace and charm, untouched by the turbulence of the outside world. Nestled in the mountains, it was a place where everyone knew each other's names, doors stayed unlocked, and secrets rarely remained hidden. That is, until the discovery of the letters. It all began on a rainy night in April when Emma Rhodes, a local librarian, stumbled upon a package on the steps of White Falls Library. She'd been working late and was startled to find the manila envelope soaked and muddy, with her name scrawled in elegant black ink. Curiosity got the better of her, and she tucked it under her coat, taking it home to examine. As she dried off the package, she noticed there was no return address. Inside were letters, neatly folded and tied with a thin black ribbon, each one dating back several years. The letters were addressed to ED and signed only by M. With trembling fingers, she read the first one and gasped. They weren't just ordinary letters, they were love letters, full of passion and longing, but laced with an unmistakable tone of secrecy and danger. They spoke of midnight meetings, whispered promises, and plans to leave everything behind. Over the next few days, Emma read each letter, trying to piece together the identity of Edie and M. She recognized familiar details, names of old businesses, mentions of local places. As she delved deeper, she began to suspect that Edie was none other than Edmund Devereaux, the town's most respected businessman and former mayor, who had died only months before in a car accident. But the bigger question remained: who was M? Unable to let go of the mystery, Emma confided in her close friend Mary, a journalist with the White Falls Gazette. They met in the back of the library late one night, poring over each letter by candlelight. It was Mary who finally noticed something chilling. Some letters hinted that M was planning to run away, but they also revealed a sense of desperation, as if M felt trapped by something, or someone. The final letter was the most disturbing of all. Written just weeks before Edmund's accident, it read, "This town will bury us both. Meet me at the old train depot and we'll leave tonight. No more hiding, no more fear." Mary and Emma's initial excitement turned to horror as they considered the implications. They started to suspect that Edmund's death may not have been an accident after all. Days later, Emma received another package. Inside was a small journal, written by M. With each page, the tragic story of an illicit affair between Edmund Devereaux and Madeline Walsh, the young wife of White Falls Sheriff Hank Walsh, unraveled. The journal was raw and full of secrets. The two lovers had hidden their relationship from everyone, especially Hank, who was known for his volatile temper. In the journal, Madeline recounted how her husband had become increasingly suspicious, even violent. She'd planned to run away with Edmund, but feared what Hank might do if he discovered the affair. As Emma read Madeline's words, she sensed the fear and desperation between each line. Then came the bombshell, the accident. On a stormy evening, the journal recounted how Madeline had finally confessed her plan to leave to her husband, and he'd reacted with fury. That same night, Edmund's car went off a cliff on a road he'd driven countless times. The accident was declared a tragic mishap, but with all Emma now knew, it seemed far too coincidental. Emma and Mary realized that even years later, the truth of Edmund's death could still have dire consequences. Sheriff Walsh was now retired, but he held a high status in town. Any accusation could ruin reputations, tear families apart, or even lead to retaliation. As they debated what to do, Emma received one final note from an anonymous source. It simply read, "I know what you found. Some things are better left buried." The two women were scared. Unsure of whom they could trust, they devised a plan to make copies of the letters and journal and mail them to a trusted source out of town. But before they could follow through, Emma's house was broken into. The letters and journal disappeared, leaving only faint traces of muddy footprints by her door. That's when Emma knew they weren't alone in uncovering this mystery. Determined not to let the truth be erased, they continued their investigation and tracked down Madeline, now living in a small town hours away. Frail and weary, Madeline shared her version of events from that fateful night. She'd tried to run away but was stopped by Hank, who had followed her. In a fit of rage, he'd threatened her, saying, "If you want him, you'll have to live without him." Hours later, Edmund was dead. She'd suspected Hank was involved, but with no proof, she had remained silent, trapped by her fear. Emma and Mary returned to White Falls with a heavy decision. Should they reveal the truth and risk their lives and Madeline's safety, or bury the scandal forever? Torn by guilt and duty, they decided to confront Hank privately, hoping he'd confess if they pressed him. When they met with him, Hank didn't deny it. He laughed bitterly and admitted he'd arranged to have Edmund run off the road, but he'd never touched him directly. People don't want the truth. They just want a story they can live with, he sneered before ordering them to leave town. Emma and Mary went to the White Falls Gazette that night, hoping to publish the story, but as dawn approached, they reconsidered. They knew that exposing the truth would ruin lives and ignite chaos. They decided instead to leave a coded version of the story in the form of a fictionalized article that anyone who knew the real details could read between the lines. They called it The Tragedy of White Falls, a story about love, betrayal, and consequences, revealing the truth without risking lives. The article became a sensation, and while Hank Walsh never faced public justice, whispers about his involvement spread like wildfire, effectively ending his influence in White Falls. As for Emma and Mary, they were relieved yet saddened, carrying with them the weight of knowing a story that could never fully be told. This scandalous tale of the secret letters teaches that some secrets carry lasting consequences, and the pursuit of truth, while noble, can be dangerous. The story reminds us to value integrity, but also to weigh the cost of exposing others, as the truth often lies in shadows and carries unexpected dangers.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure through Kind Park Stories.